Look, you guys need to know from me, every one of you can do this. He didn't call you because you can't do this. Every one of you can be whichever role you were called into, you were born into. You can be a man or you could be a woman. Not the confused world nonsense. You could be what you were born to be, okay? And if you're not sure, get undressed and look in the mirror. You'll know. Because the anatomy goes with what you were born to be. Okay, Yahweh doesn't care about your emotional challenge. Okay? He intended you to be what you were physically born to be. This husband-wife role, or roles of men and women, it was never designed for this to be about you. It's always been about him. And you becoming like him, which is becoming selfless, right? And a selfless person cannot be offended. Because there's nothing there but the self that gets offended. Get the self out of the way, there's nothing to offend. You can't offend me if I'm not in the me. All right? It's the me that gets offended. Because what do we say? You say, well, you're hurting my feelings. Okay, well, if my feelings are not an issue, you can't hurt them. It's the my that has feelings that gets hurt. Okay? I can just have feelings, and then I can choose to express them, but they're not there out there to get hurt. What hurts is because I had something I had wanted or preferred or thought would be, and then I get disappointed. So you hurt my feelings.
And so I just want to make sure, so the children are your family, but not the ex-wife.
Okay, this is a really good question. Well, first of all, I wanted to say for all of you, anybody who's doing any of this stuff needs therapy. Okay, I'm not saying that's a joke. I mean, you need therapy. If you cannot understand that if your relationship with your spouse is such that you got a divorce, that means that relationship has absolutely changed. And you cannot act like it's now the same. I'm okay with you being friendly because you may have children in common, that being friendly makes it a lot easier to co-parent and whatever you need to do. But you are no longer husband and wife. And you cannot keep treating each other that way, especially if you then meet somebody else and I've heard a lot of stories like this where there are people who are now married, but the person they're married to is still enmeshed with their ex. Don't do this to anybody. If you're still enmeshed with your ex, do not put that on a new person. Close that door. It is vital for this to function as described scripturally that you are both walking the same walk under the same vertical structure. Because if you're in this and your spouse is not in this, then you're not walking the same and don't see things the same. You're going to fight over things because you're not going to see them the same. But if you're in this, at least the way I'm teaching it, from the way I understand this, then you should know that the husband has authority over the decisions financially. And so if the husband says, hey, we need to be tithing, then we need to be tithing. Now, women, if the man's not doing it, let's take it the other side of it. The man's not doing it, that tells you a little bit about your man. You are not ready for what he's planning for you. If you don't have discipline over your emotions, you're not ready. I got a bunch of you, the divorce papers are still wet as you filled them out and you're already dating people. Can't wait. Oh, but Rabbi, it's going to take months. So what? What's the big rush? Be patient. I've got like 4 marriages in the last 3 years where they weren't patient. Nobody wants to be patient, wait for the papers. What is the big rush? Besides which, that makes you a rebound on some levels. Odds of making a bad decision higher, not that they did. I think people make pretty good decisions pretty much, but I'm just saying is, can you just be patient? And they'll call me up and I find out they're already doing all kinds of things. And I'm like, what is that showing the Father in terms of your discipline and your patience? So when you're evaluating a potential husband, you should really have a real clear idea of where he's at and where he's planning to go, and then how he's planning to get there. And he should be able to tell you this, okay? Look, when I met my wife, you guys all have heard this story many times, she had this little list, it wasn't written out, but she had this list of all these things she was looking for in a man, and she sort of ran it off to me one night. We were sitting out by the pool at the apartment complex I was at after having dinner. We're just sitting and talking. And I said to her, I said, look, I'm not all of those things yet, some of them, not all of them. I said, but I want you to know those things are in my destination plan. And then we talked about it and what my plans were, how to get there, and what I was doing to meet some of the things I wasn't yet, whatever. But I was also open enough to say, well, no, I'm not all of those things. This is where I am right now. This is where I used to be. This is where I am now. This is where I'm trying to head. And this is the plan. So when it comes to this world that's continuing through time, right? This world that continues to go through time, it is devolving emotionally. It's weakening, okay? We're having this continual generational weakness. All right, the children today could not have grown up in my world. I'm 60 years old? No. Okay, what we dealt with and the way we were talked to and treated by adults and the things that were expected, no. Okay? These children open their mouths and don't have a fist put in it. And then that never happens again. They mouth off and do this, and I look at people like, how do you let your kids talk to you like that? Well, what am I supposed to do? The other part of your question had to do with what do you do as this thing grows and people are asking you about their pronouns. First of all, on a non-emotional level, I don't care. I'll call them a tree if they want. I don't care. Okay? I mean, seriously, why do you care? On the other side of it, I personally don't let people tell me what to call them. I call them whatever I want to call them. I say, you can call yourself, and I tell them respectfully, I don't care what you call yourself. Okay? But when I look at a tree and I call it a tree and you want to call it a cat, I'm still going to call it a tree. I'm not going to stop calling it a tree because you do. Okay? Now, I don't have a problem with you calling it a cat. That's okay. I'll just think you're crazy. But don't ask me to do that. You can't make anybody do anything. What you can do is say, if you want to be married to me, I'm not interested in doing that if you're going to keep doing these things. I want to still be married to you, but I'm not going to be here while you're doing all these worldly things, whatever they are. I don't know what your stuff is. You didn't say. But, you know, you should have a conversation with your spouse saying, look, when I married you, I wasn't expecting you to be doing these, this, and this. Well, maybe when you did marry them, you were both doing all of that. So now you're having a problem that you've changed and he didn't, and now what are you going to do? That happens too, okay? But what you have is a marriage problem, okay, where two are not walking together in agreement. That's a marriage problem. When I say marriage problem, I don't mean you need to get a divorce. Well, maybe, who knows? What I'm just saying is, I'm saying you have a problem. The problem is always based on two not agreeing on something. That's a problem. If your husband is treating you like a mother figure, you're married to a boy who wants to throw a lot of bluster out there like he's a man because he wants you to be a submissive wife, but he still wants you to mother him. You're married to a boy. Okay? The way Abba designed it, listen, is that a man doesn't need you. You need him. We want you, though. He made us to desire you. Okay? So if a man needs you, he's not a man. He should want you. The desire was put in us to make us feel whole and complete. It's a desire. No, to make children, we need you. But other than that, you need us. He designed you out of us to need us, to provide and protect you. It doesn't belittle you in any way.